Hello everybody and welcome to Tiger Tells the Lost Stories, a place you'll find stories and fan fictions written and read to you by your host, me, Tiger. Today we're diving back into the Color Matrix. The Color Matrix is a storyline where Ace uses the Color Matrix, a device that allows you to place your consciousness into a different version of yourself across the vast multiverse, or multiverses, so to speak. Think of James Cameron's Avatar, The Matrix, and Sword Art Online. The similar concept of putting your consciousness into a different body via a machine, but on this scale, it's multiversal. And this allows me to write all sorts of chapters because I get to go through all different fandoms and fictions I'm a huge fan of. Today, we're diving into DC, and Ace finds a version of himself who joins the Suicide Squad. So, let's dive in. The Color Matrix, World 12. Blood is thicker than the Suicide Squad. I worked hard to clean the place before I decided then to go to the Matrix console. I had to make sure the whole place was clean every now and then. It kind of was a part of the job. I sat there scrolling through the multiverses. Daisy suggested I check the purple section of the multiverses. Here, suited heroes fight suited villains. I scrolled through, but there was a lot of options. So I closed my eyes and I did the eeny meeny miny mo thing on the multiverses, and I picked one at random. I then loaded it straight into the Matrix.
So, in this universe, you are a villain known as Bloodletter, who has been arrested and is now part of the infamous group known as the Suicide Squad.
Daisy told me. Bloodletter does not sound like a good name, I muttered. I shrugged my shoulders and I walked over to the bed, took off my shirt and laid on the bed. The needles entered the back of my neck and fingertips and I drifted off into the darkness as Daisy read me my vital signs. I woke up to the sound of the alarm. My cell was very cold. I stood up and put my arms through my prison jumpsuit sleeves as my cell door opened and Amanda Waller walked in. Get out of here, Blood. We've got a mission, and this one is a big one for you, because this one reduces your sentence to the point where you only have a few days left, Waller told me. Fine, I muttered. I followed Amanda Waller out of the cell and down the corridor till we got to the conference room. There, waiting for me, was Rick Flag, Poison Ivy, Deadshot, and Bronze Tiger. Oh, great, we have him with us, Bronze Tiger muttered. Just spill some blood, pussycat, and you'll regret those words, I growled. Easy, both of you. I'll kiss you both, Poison Ivy growled. Shut up, everyone, this is important, Amanda Waller barked. All of us stood in a line. Alright, squad, we have had a breach of the multiversal level. Someone claiming to be Nightwing has entered our universe, hailing from Earth 3. He has locked himself in the Arkham Asylum's cafeteria, Rick Flag explained. So what? We bringing this fool in? Deadshot asked. No, this monster's a threat at the highest level. Kill him, Amanda told us. We all nodded with grins upon our faces, then we walked away and got suited up. An hour later, we were in the transport vehicle. Suited up, I wore an armoured vest and wrist and shin guards. I wore normal trousers, and I also was equipped with a pen and a piece of parchment. Driving down the long stretch, we could hear the rain, and suddenly the van came to a stop. The door opened and Rick Flag, which now was wearing tactical gear and carrying a rifle. Alright, squad, out. It's time to go, Rick barked. We all climbed out and Deadshot loaded an ammo clip into his rifle. Bronze Tiger clenched his knuckles and his claws extended, and I pulled out my blade-tipped pen and my piece of parchment. Alright guys, the cafeteria is just over there. It's been locked up from the inside, so explosive will be needed. I will wait here, Rick ordered. We all nodded and we all ran to the cafeteria entrance. Then everyone turned to me. Well, lover boy, you're up, Poison Ivy hissed. Could have just given us an explosive, but okay, I muttered. I ran the tip of my pen across my hand and drew blood from my palm. I then placed a piece of paper on the wall and drew a C4 explosive within my blood. Then my eyes flashed a blood red colour and the picture shimmered and then formed into a real version of the C4 explosive. I grabbed it, placed it onto the entrance door, and I triggered it. We all ran back a few steps, then it exploded. Once the smoke cleared, we all ran in. Deadshot ran in first, gun aimed. We ran into the main room, everyone dropped into a fighting stance. Of course, there's a Suicide Squad in this universe, a voice cackled. Alright, Nightwing, come on, man. We don't have to do this, Bronze Tiger barked. Please don't make me laugh. I was trained by Owlman himself. I know the mission. I'm not from this world, so your task is to kill me, Nightwing barked. We all looked around and waited, when suddenly Nightwing jumped out of the shadows with 2 sickles in hand. He landed and swung for Bronze Tiger, who managed to block the attack. Then he swung his claws at Nightwing. He jumped back and dodged Bronze Tiger's swipe. Poison Ivy ran in and grabbed Nightwing. She kneed him in the stomach, grabbed his face and kissed him. Green veins rippled through his cheeks. Then she let go of him. We all stood there and waited for Poison Ivy's poison to take effect. But Nightwing stood there and shook his head. Then he swung his sickle in a quick swipe. Poison Ivy's dropped her knee, and then her head fell to the floor. Blood seeped all over the floor as well. Deadshot aimed his rifle and fired it several times, the bullets bouncing off Nightwing's sickles and armor as he spun them around. I dropped down to one knee, drew my pen across my arm and drew more blood. Then I drew 3 things and my eyes flashed red, and the first thing became reality. 2 pistols laid on the ground. I picked up the parchment and shoved it in my pocket, grabbed the pistols, aimed them and started firing them at Nightwing. Nightwing jumped into the air and threw one of the sickles. It flew at Bronze Tiger and caught him in the shoulder. A piece of rope tied to the bottom of the handle of the sickle was pulled, and Nightwing pulled Bronze Tiger up into the air, and with his other sickle he sliced Bronze Tiger across the stomach. Then he pulled the sickle from out of his shoulder and rammed it up through Bronze Tiger's chin, the blade ripping through his skull. Bronze Tiger's body dropped to the floor dead. Deadshot kept on firing his rifle. Several bullets caught Nightwing's shoulder and leg. He landed on the floor with a stagger. Deadshot dropped his rifle, aimed his wrist guns and fired them. Nightwing threw down some black marbles, which exploded into clouds of smoke. I rolled to one side, evading the smoke, and I fired my pistols at Nightwing till both pistols ran out. I then tossed both pistols aside. Nightwing threw one of his sickles at me. I quickly pulled out my piece of parchment. My eyes flashed red, and then in my hand was a big circular shield, which appeared around my wrist. Within the second, the sickle collided with the shield, and I was pushed back. Deadshot tried to shoot Nightwing, but he was caught by a birdarang thrown by Nightwing as it sliced Deadshot's leg. Deadshot dropped to one knee and growled out in pain. I ran at Nightwing and slammed into him, knocking him off his feet. I pulled out the piece of paper and made the third thing, which was on there, a reality. Nightwing ran at me, slid under the shield and through my legs. He jumped up behind me and wrapped his arm around my neck and started choking me. I dropped the shield as I was unable to breathe. My lungs kept demanding oxygen and I could hear my heartbeat thudding in my ears, but my windpipe was being crushed. I dropped the shield and I grabbed the third item, which was clenched in my grip. I then held the handle and placed it against my stomach, and the blade extended, ripping through my stomach and went through Nightwing. Blood exploded out of my stomach and his back. Nightwing released the grip on my neck as I pulled the blade out of both of us. I rolled forward, gripping my self-made wound. Nightwing dropped to his knees. Owlman used to say, if you can fight what pains you physically and mentally, you can withstand it all. Look at me now, blood seeping out of my stomach by a pathetic stab wound. He'd be so ashamed of me. He would laugh at me. He'd spit on the floor with no pity and just anger. He would say, Dick, get up and fight, you idiot. I raise no quitter. Well, I quit. I'm done being his assassin, his lackey, his way to tie up loose ends. My accidental transportation through the multiverse was a success, Nightwing growled. Then he looked at me in the eye. Do me a favor, he asked. What is that? I grunted. Deliver my body to Owlman on Universe 3. I want to have the last laugh. Nightwing giggled. I looked at him, and then there was a gunshot. Nightwing's head exploded, and his body slumped to the ground. I turned to see Deadshot on one knee with his wrist gun smoking slightly, and I pulled myself to my feet and gripped my stab wound. I wobbled over to Deadshot and helped him up, and we supported each other as we wobbled out of the cafeteria and back outside, and we managed to get up to Rick Flag. What the fuck is going on? Where's Tiger and Ivy? Rick barked. KIA, I muttered. And our target? Rick Flag asked. Went peacefully. I muttered. We climbed into the van and both Deadshot and I both fell into the seats. Good job, Blood, Deadshot grunted. No worries, Floyd, I replied. Rick climbed into the van driver's seat and a medic climbed into the back with me and Deadshot. We drove off, more vehicles drove past us. They must have been heading to the crime scene to retrieve the bodies. I leaned back as the medic sewn up my wound and I closed my eyes and everything went dark. I woke up and climbed out of bed and I put my shirt on.
Sir, your 8 hours here was 4 hours there.
Daisy told me. Thanks, Dee. That one was interesting, I muttered.
May I ask why?
Daisy asked. I was a criminal. I had stolen blood for a blood transfusion. I'd gotten arrested and spent years in prison, and yet I managed to do some good. I'm finding this all rather odd, I told the AI. I added my thoughts to my entry log for Sparks and I decided to go read something to at least expand my thought pattern because my mind just kept on circling around the purple set of multiverses. And there we have it, guys, another introduction to the Colour Matrix. We finally got a DC universe out there, which I'm really glad about, and there's definitely a lot more I can do with the DC universe when it comes to the Colour Matrix. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Now, don't forget to check out the other Colour Matrix chapters, because each one revolves around a different storyline. We may visit the same form of fiction or fandom at least, more than once, but each storyline would be different. Ace is placed in different universes. And then, of course, if you want to see more Colour Matrix storylines and you want to see video game versions of the such, then make sure you go check out the Colour Matrix story on Tiger Tail's Game Over, another YouTube channel where I post my stories, but all the stories on that channel revolve around video games, and the Colour Matrix is also on that one. I decided to split the Colour Matrix into two separate storylines because the video game stories, or video game worlds, air quote, are data worlds. Just a nice way to break up the whole video game worlds and normal worlds. But yeah, essentially it's the exact same storyline and it's chronicled to each other. It's just I put them on two different channels. A huge shout out to A Crown and his YouTube channel, The Author's Crown. He posts his own stories on there. He's been helping me with the Colour Matrix chapter that appear before you and on the Game Over channel as well, so a big, huge shout out to him. Now, of course, make sure you check out the other Tiger Tales channels. There's the Tiger Tales Game Over, and Tiger Tales Mysterious Origins. All three host more stories and fanfictions, providing all sorts of different fandoms I'm a huge fan of, and the last one I mentioned there is actually all original stories. Then there's Tiger Tales X, where I do my crossovers, official crossovers that, we may not need, or no one ever thought of, but I definitely wanted to give it a go. For example, Ben 10 Alien Force and Doctor Who crossover. Make sure you check out the Tiger Nexus podcast, and a huge shout out to the If You Give a Data podcast and the Zero Hero podcast. Thank you everyone for watching, and I shall see you guys real soon.
That before we can...
Don't touch my Pringles.